What is up, everybody? Welcome back to this week's Waiver Wire show. Tomorrow's newspaper giving you 5 players to add in week 3 before the rush comes. We faded Elijah Mitchell last week because we didn't want to spend all of our fab. Again, this week, there's nobody to really go after that's in that upper echelon of running back that you want to spend all your fab on. There's no real high-end receivers that you want to spend your fab on. Nobody that is really that interesting, quite frankly. 1 second. It's a very slim week, but it's a sleeper week. So heading in to week number 3, if you need help, there's a few guys to help. I've been going through the cornerback, wide receiver matchups, cornerback rankings over the last day. We got through the stats stuff on Sunday, Monday, going through cornerback matchups, and I found a few I really like this week. A few cornerback matchups that I think are very interesting. One, Kansas City and the Chargers, obviously. You get Mike Williams against Trevarius Ward. We get Keenan Allen and L'Jarius Sneed, the true test. I think L'Jarius Sneed, I have him as number 4 in the cornerback rankings right now. Was a rookie last year, phenomenal season, very underrated. At one point last year, PFF had him in the 60s, and I was already pushing him into the 10s. I think he's up there right now. I have him at 4 right now. Obviously, Mike Hughes going to be lined up against Jalen Guyton, a true speed test. When Mike Hughes came in, he ran the 4.3s. That's going to be a true test for him against Jalen Guyton. We get Michael Davis, who's a bigger cornerback, against Tyreek Hill. Asante Samuel against Mecole Hardman. These guys are going to switch off here and there. And then Tavon Campbell against Demarcus Robinson is probably the worst out of the 6 corners, and he's a very above-average cornerback. Now, another one I like is Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. I think this one has some shootout appeal. The Pittsburgh defense obviously is head and shoulders above Cincinnati's, but Joe Hayden was out last week. The Raiders came in and beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. Now, if Joe Hayden comes back, it's going to be Hayden on Higgins, Cam Sutton on Chase, Trey Norwood on Boyd. Not the best back end for the Steelers that we've seen the last few years, but also for the Bengals. Chidobe Awuzie on Chase Claypool, big speed mismatch. Cam Sutton against Jamar Chase, another big speed mismatch, and then a straight up talent mismatch with Trey Norwood against Tyler Boyd. And then for the Bengals, Eli Apple and James Washington, speed mismatch. And then we get the Juju Smith-Schuster, Mike Hilton revenge game against Pittsburgh. He gets the lineup against his old foe, Juju Smith-Schuster. So I'm looking forward to that one. I'm assuming Trey Waynes does not come back. He's been injured the last few weeks. Another cornerback injury to look out for, and another big matchup is in Indianapolis. Isaiah Rodgers has been splitting time with TJ Carey, and they're trying to push Xavier Rhodes back in. They need Xavier Rhodes back. They need him, and he's been battling with a calf injury. He's had calf injuries years, and when he was playing for the Vikings, he was always injured. Similar to like Diggs, where like they're studs when they were in, but then sometimes like every year they'd miss a game or 2 here and there. But he starts out obviously early in the season. I'm afraid last year was just I don't know. It was Fugazi, right? Like he's been going downhill for years. Last year he has this big bounce back, and then all of a sudden he's injured. Like, is he really done now? I don't know. We'll see. Tennessee's great couple matchups. Mike Strawn should get a start if Paris Campbell's out again. Strawn, obviously, the reason I like Strawn even more so now that we're getting into the season, this is a really, really, really deep one here. This is Mike Strawn. We've talked about him on the prospect show before, but his connection with Sam Ehlinger and Jacob Eason in camp was much higher than it was with Wentz. Wentz was targeting him, but when Ehlinger was in there in the preseason and Eason was in there in the preseason, it was Strawn that he was going to. And Pittman's going to draw that number 1 guy. He's going to draw Fulton. He's going to draw Jenkins, and Strawn's going to get that opposite coverage as with Pascal. Pascal's really running as the number 1 right now. I broke down the Pascal and Pittman versus Ramsey reps last weekend on Twitter. You can find those at Carpentier NFL on Twitter. I'll explain it to you guys right now, though. Jalen Ramsey against the Colts last week. Jalen Ramsey lined up against Zach Pascal on 26 snaps. Pascal was 1 for 1 with 7 yards. Then he lined up on Pittman for 15 snaps. They targeted Pittman 1 time, did not catch the ball. So Ramsey was targeted twice out of those 41 snaps against Pascal and Pittman. And then Eason comes in. His first pass was intercepted by Ramsey. He wasn't even targeted on the play. It was absolutely ridiculous how they literally targeted him twice the whole game, completely went away from him. It's awesome because you could just tell he's the number one dude in the NFL. Like, it's him, Jair Alexander. I got Jair just a hair ahead because he's younger, and I just like Jair overall better. But it's pretty ridiculous. Pascal 26 snaps, Pittman 14, and then Ashton Doolin 4 and Jack Doyle 3. That's where Ramsey lined up against these guys this last weekend. But one I want to jump into right now, and the guy that you're not going to really probably have the opportunity to add in waivers this week because he should be rostered, is Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore is a speed demon. He's playing the Broncos this weekend, and then you're like, well, Broncos, they got a great defense. They do. They have a phenomenal defense. Patrick Surtain came in last week, had an interception in his debut, his rookie start debut, and now he's going to get Corey Davis, a very strong matchup for him. That's his type of player, a big bully guy that Surtain can actually come back with and fight. I think that's going to be a great matchup. And then Bryce Callahan is going to get Braxton Berrios, where Berrios, he came in here when I was breaking down through waiver stuff, and Berrios is a guy that with Jamison Crowder out, he's getting those slot opportunities, 60% slot rate, getting targets week after week. I believe he had 7 and 8 the last couple weeks, but that leaves one guy, and that's Elijah Moore against Kyle Fuller. And there's a little discrepancy in speed here. Kyle Fuller is 6 foot 190. He's 30 years old, and he runs a 4.49. Ran a 4.49 8 years ago. Elijah Moore's coming in 4.35 pro day speed, 5'9", 178. He's coming in blazing, wanting the opportunity, looking for the opportunity, and Zach Wilson's looking to give it to him, right? So when you just plug in, go to Player Profiler right now, pull data analysis, break it down, air yards. Who is number one in air yards right now in the NFL? It's Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore has 332 air yards, 19 yards ahead of Cameron Sutton. Or Cortland Sutton, sorry. Cameron Sutton's the cornerback for the Steelers. 19 yards ahead of Cortland Sutton, and then another 40 ahead of Tyler Lockett, Stephon Diggs, etc. Elijah Moore is getting those targets, 12 targets, 7 deep targets, 33% red zone target share, 5 receptions. He's getting the opportunity. They just got to complete the ball. And Zach Wilson, we saw last week, he had 4 picks, should have been more. He's going to keep throwing the ball to Elijah Moore. That's his guy. If Elijah Moore happens to be free in your league, that's a must-add. I didn't even add him to my list today because I think he should be owned. And if you don't have him, you're going to regret that. He's just a dog. And really what we need is we just need that connection. We know Zach Wilson's a rookie. Elijah Moore's a rookie. Corey Davis is there, but Corey Davis helps Elijah Moore. And I really can't say a lot more about Elijah Moore. If he's there, grab him. If not, I didn't put him on the list because of that exact reasoning. But I'm going to jump into the list right now. Number 5 this week on the waiver wire ads of the week, Rashad Bateman. If he's owned, cool. Maybe make a little offer if you're in season. If he's not owned, you got to go at him right now. He's on IR open. He was on IR into the season. Puts him out 3 weeks. Week 3 is this weekend. You need Rashad Bateman now. Put him on your team. Shoddy B, shout out. Put him on your team. Eat the roster spot. He's going to come back. Baltimore looked good against Kansas City, and they had no receivers. Like outside, it was Hollywood Brown, 10 targets, Mark Andrews, 5, Watkins, 7, and then what? Tyson Williams and Josh Oliver. They need another guy. They need Bateman. They need some guy to wake up. Scooped up him and Jeff Wilson. That's exactly how you play fantasy football right there. You got your guy in the San Francisco backfield that's free. What have we been doing with New England for the last how many years? Take the free guy, profit. And now you got the same opportunity in San Francisco where everyone's throwing all their money, throwing all their fab, and all these guys that aren't that good. Kerryon Johnson's now getting into the picture. Jaquez Patrick, complete bums. Elijah Mitchell already hurt. He was hurt in camp. He had a hip injury. That's the reason we faded him last week. Injuries. Bought Elijah Moore back in April, in May, in those rookie drafts. Hold Elijah Mitchell if you wanted, or sold Elijah Mitchell last week at the peak price when everyone was like throwing $900 in fab at him. Those were your options. You hold him for Dynasty long-term, which I'm cool with, or sell him, which you should have already done. But that's Dynasty. That's value. This is in season. In season, I'm not really going for Elijah Mitchell. I said that last week. But we'll move on past that. But Rashad Bateman, he's eligible to return after this week. Go add Rashad Bateman every time. Number 4, Cordero freaking Patterson. No. Trenton Cannon, you rather have Cannon or Roundtree? Seems like Justin Jackson got his rollback as number 2. Yeah, no. I'm good on that action. I think games that Chargers are going to be winning, you're going to see a lot more Roundtree than you are Jackson. I'm not worried about Jackson at all. I'd rather have Roundtree than Cannon. Like I said, I'm staying away. If you can get Cannon for $0.00, throw a waiver in, try to snag him. Don't lose your waiver priority order. Throw one in on Cannon, but not there. Roundtree. I mean, I don't really prefer either of these guys really in season long, to be honest with you. But if you can grab Cannon, throw him on there, it's going to be just fine. Yeah, it's not a good seat to be sitting in. It's tough, right? So, but another running back / receiver / tight end that I have on this list is Cordero Patterson. Russell Gage is hurt. Mike Davis sucks. Cordero Patterson, it sounds completely horrid. It sounds terrible. Last week, Mike Davis, 9 carries, Cordero Patterson, 7. Cordero Patterson got the touchdown, 7 for 11 and a touchdown. Not good, right? Not good. But 5 receptions on 6 targets for 58 yards and a touchdown. He was the number 3 option in this offense over the weekend against Tampa Bay in a losing effort. Mike Davis had 7 targets for 7 receptions, 25 yards. I still prefer Patterson there, though. I still prefer Patterson long-term because we know Mike Davis is not that good. Mike Davis is not good. I bring in, let's see, I'll pop up this right here. Cordero Patterson has 5 red zone touches. That's top 15 in the NFL right now. 8 targets. That's top 10 in the NFL right now. 22 routes ran is top 15, top 20 in the NFL right now. 91 yards created, top 15 in the NFL right now. And 4.33 yards created per touch is 8th in the NFL right now among qualified running backs. 14% juke rate. I like Cordero Patterson, and I think Arthur Smith likes Cordero Patterson. What do we got here? Ty Johnson or Michael Carter when it comes to the Jets backfield? Kevin Etienne. Give me 3 minutes. That's coming. That's coming. That's coming. Last question, 2QB. Danny Dimes on the waivers, 12-team league. How much fab on him? I'm thinking 50% despite how gross it is at Konami, Vanilla, Vic. Haha. What's available? A. B. Who's your quarterback? I don't know if I like spending 50% on Dimes. He's still got the intercept. I just turnover thing sucks. NFL English GM, what about KJ Osborne? Well, KJ Osborne, if you tuned into Undercovered Ops week number 1, that's why I'm not talking about KJ Osborne. That's why I'm not talking about Anthony Schwartz, because we talked about KJ Osborne, Anthony Schwartz, Juwan Johnson. We talked about these guys week number 1, week number 2. You already own them. You don't need to add them. They should already be on those rosters that are deep enough to carry them. But yeah, see, he knows. I've been talking about him. Get KJ. KJ's a dog, man. He's a dog. We saw that coming out. We knew it was him over at ISM right away. Carr is the only other option. Let's see where they come from. I would, you can pick up Carr. If you can pick up Carr, I'm taking Carr all day. Carr is extremely underrated. He's been holding the ball a lot better. No less turnovers than Dimes has had. And, the Konami isn't quite there, but he can still move around if he has to. But he's just been so efficient through the air. If you can add Carr, I'm adding Carr over Dimes 100%. Yeah. More weapons, too. I'm not a big fan of just the New York offense. I think the Raiders are going to be in a lot more games, a lot more high-scoring games. I think you take Carr 100% there. He's actually leading the league in passing right now. And I threw in a prop back in July on Carr to lead the NFL in passing. So I'm pretty hyped about that right now. So there's a little sprinkle on that. But, yeah. So he's got Kyler and T-Law. Yeah, if you want a third, definitely I would go Carr. Most definitely. Yeah, Schwartz. So the Schwartz dud, I will talk about that because I don't have him on the list, obviously, because we talked about him on Ops the other day. But Anthony Schwartz, he came in with a knee injury. They're also playing Houston. I had high expectation early in the week. After I saw the knee injury come out, I was like, I don't think it's going to happen. They controlled the clock. They ran the ball. They did what they needed to do to win. They knew they were going to beat Houston. Houston's not a good football team. But now with Jarvis out, now you better be holding Schwartz. If you got rid of Schwartz, it might bite you in the ass because he's going to be added this week. And Schwartz is just that dude that can go all over the field. Demetric Felton, even, we talked about him early in the season on Breakout Finder. Me and Matt, we said, put Felton, Landry's back pocket. It's going to happen. He scored a touchdown last weekend. Felton's not one I think I would add right away. That's a deep stash. If you got like a season long that's like 30 deep, like go for it. But Yeah, Schwartz is the guy I'm leaning towards right there. I think if Odell doesn't come back, Schwartz and DPJ can both pay off. And even Rashard Higgins is this offense just needs to score. Yeah, shout out. Everybody knows in the chat. They know Schwartz is what's up. But yeah, let's move on to, I didn't finish out Cordero Patterson though. Cordero Patterson, I like Cordero Patterson's situation. 14 carries, 65 yards in the season. He's up there. He's surprisingly getting 35% snap share. And the main thing I think is Arthur Smith is pushing him out there. He looks more explosive. He looks better than Mike Davis, and he runs all the routes. He knows, like, he's a bad route runner. I get him from Minnesota. I know he's a bad route runner. That's why he's not in Minnesota anymore. But he can still do them. And he's coming out of the backfield running those receiver routes. I think if you are in those deep leagues, if you're in a league where James White is borderline a starter, like I've started James White in a couple leagues, and it's paying off great. If you're in that situation where you're that deep and you need a starting running back that's that deep, or you have the flex opportunity to throw a guy like Cordero at tight end in certain weeks and buy fill-ins and shit like that, I'm doing that with Cordero every time. I like how Atlanta's using him, and the fact that Atlanta is going to be losing in like 90% of their games this season. So Cordero Patterson is number 4. Number 3, if you need a tight end, you need to be looking for a tight end. Tight end's a tough position to really break down through these big waivers because the discrepancy and opportunity drops off so fast. Right now, there's one guy. And through the whole offseason, everybody was looking for his teammate. His teammate, Big Mo Alley Cox, disappoints. Jack Doyle, sitting right now 8th in the NFL in routes run, tied with Mark Andrews, tied with Logan Thomas, ahead of Cook, Gesicki, Hunter Henry, Conklin, you name it. Right there. He's 8th in the NFL in routes. Just a couple behind Kelsey, Fant. 8th. 12 targets. Top 10. 12 targets. 2 red zone targets. 8 receptions for 85 yards. No touchdowns. 16.5 fantasy points through 2 weeks. At tight end, I can't complain. The thing is, Jack Doyle's a lot closer to Zach Ertz than Mo Alley Cox is. Mo Alley Cox is more of a Goddard, a receiver type. Ertz is more of a Jack Doyle. That's literally what he is. And everyone thought Jack Doyle was dust. If you're in a bad situation, all these top tight ends, nobody's really gotten hurt. But if you're stuck where you went late round tight end, your guy's not hitting, you got a Conklin who KJ Osborne has pretty much overtaken. Doyle's a guy that you can plug in pending Wentz. I think pending Wentz, you can plug in Doyle. I'd have to wait and see how Ellinger or Easton use him, but 30% slot rate. That's, of course, with Paris Campbell missing game 2. He's got 40 air yards, which is nothing compared to these other guys at tight end, but the usage is there. 12 targets is what I'm saying. This is big. This is what you're looking for, opportunities at tight end. What do we got here? Is there a point of picking up Kyle fullback Juszczyk? I'm assuming that means Kyle Juszczyk. Yeah. You know what, dude? In San Francisco, from an opportunity share standpoint, the Kyle Juszczyk might not be a bad freaking ad. I'll tell you what, but no, we're not picking up Kyle Juszczyk. We're completely out on that. And at number 2 this week is my man from the chat earlier, Michael freaking Carter. Now, if you've been riding with me since, I don't know what, February, March, this was the number 2 running back that I was, not the number 2 running back, the number 2 guy I was vouching for, right? It was Jamar Jefferson. We're still in on Jamar. He just late round pick, goes to Detroit. I'm not going to get into that shit. But Michael Carter, everybody wants to look to Ty Johnson, who got 12 carries for 50 yards. Michael Carter finished with 11 for 59, and he looked better in the game. Ty Johnson, Tevin Coleman, you know how many receptions and targets they ended up with last weekend? Both of them combined for 0 targets and 0 receptions. Michael Carter had 3 targets, 2 for 29, and a long of 17. This target breakdown in New York, 11 for Berrios, 8 for Elijah Moore, 5 for Corey Davis. Michael Carter was 4th. And what do we know about the Jets? The Jets will not be winning, but 2-3 games this year? So they're going to be trailing in the majority, and that only benefits Michael Carter. Give me Michael Carter. Tevin Coleman's dust. I'm not on the Ty Johnson side for one particular reason. He's a Jag. He's never hit. He never will. Michael Carter, I've told you guys before, close comparable for me. Look at him as a Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You see Clyde has not done shit the last however long, but people were looking at Clyde Edwards-Helaire as the number 1 running back in the 2020 class. People that don't know what the hell they're looking at. Obviously, though, But now I had Michael Carter coming in and did not have him ranked that way. Michael Carter, for opportunity standpoint, 11 for 59, 3 targets, 2 receptions, 29 yards. If you add a score into that, you're talking about a 15, 16-point fantasy week. But the Jets suck. Carter's high draft capital, they have to get him going. Exactly. That's the thing also that people aren't realizing is this coaching staff brought in 2 guys. They brought in Tevin Coleman. They drafted Michael Carter. And I've been saying this in podcasts. I kind of got worn out because I kept repeating the shit. People were like, nah, dude, it's Tevin Coleman. Nah, dude, it's Ty Johnson. Nah, dude, it's actually Michael Carter. Because you know what? When this team starts tanking, they realize, starting the season, everyone's like, yeah, we're going to Super Bowl. Everyone thinks they're good. Everyone's making the playoffs. And then they start playing games. And when you start playing games and you go, dang, we really suck. Maybe we should take the 30-year-old running back out of our backfield. Boom, Acts 1. LaMichael Pirine's not even playing right now. Boom, Acts 2. And then you come down to Ty Johnson and you come down to Michael Carter. Ty Johnson has just been a guy for the last 4 or 5 years, hasn't done anything. He had 1 good year at Maryland, and he comes in athletic. He's a dude. You can use him on special teams. You can use him on here. You can use him on there. But you drafted Michael Carter with the 1st or 2nd pick in the 4th round of the NFL draft to use Michael Carter for 2021, 2022, 2023. Milk out that rookie contract until this team is good. Give him usage. Best comparable to Devonta Freeman on Player Profiler. What do you know about Devonta Freeman? Devonta Freeman 8 in fantasy football for a couple of years when he was down there in Atlanta. Give me Devonta Freeman in New York. Give me some reception. Just give me it. I'll take all of it, right? Give me Michael Carter. I got him at number 2 right now. Stash him because you're already looking at the usage go up. The usage is just growing and growing and growing, and this team sucks. He's going to get more and more targets as the season goes on. I love it. Now, last question. How much are you spending? Do you think he'll fly under the radar tomorrow? People know we know. That's all dependent on your league, right? I can tell you Michael Carter is going to be a guy, but I think a lot of people are just staying away from the Jets in general. Do people realize that he got 14 opportunities in this game and led the whole team in opportunities from a running back standpoint, from a team standpoint? They threw the ball and gave the ball to him more than anybody else in the whole roster. Berrios got 11. Tevin got 5. Ty Johnson got 12. Michael Carter got 14 opportunities in this game. Do other people know that? Well, if you're not from New England or New York, you might not. So depending where you're, this is the thing that comes into fantasy. Is like, well, I can tell you to go spend, 5, 10, 15, 20%, whatever you want me to tell you. What I would do is I just put a claim in for him. I'd put what I think my league's not going to bid. If I think I'm in a league with a bunch of guys that don't know what they're doing, if I got $100, I'm putting like $4 on him because I don't think anybody's going to put on him. But if you're in a league that there's some guys that know what they're doing. There's a few guys that maybe they subscribe to a few things. They listen to a few people. They might have an idea on Michael Carter, but I'm telling you right now, the majority of people are looking right at Ty Johnson because of 12 carries. That's leading the team in carries. He's the most explosive on the team. I'm not buying it, but it just depends on the league you're in. I can tell you right now, 5 to 10% is going to get Michael Carter. I don't think people are in on him. If he's not owned, he shouldn't be owned in a lot of leagues. But yeah, Michael Carter, it's I'd say that 10% area you'd be just fine. I would not go over 10% that's in a competitive league too. If you're in a competitive league and he's available, 10% is the cap. But I'm saying like literally a $4 or $5 bet. Yeah, see, I don't think anybody's gonna. I don't think you could probably in certain leagues. This is all. If you're in a home league or something and nobody's really paying, you can probably get him on Wednesday, Thursday for free. So it's not like a push. You're not pushing chips in on him by any means. It's like it's cheap ad. But number 1, and we'll finish this out right here with the number 1 guy. And this is going to be, people are going to get a little recency bias out of this one. So this is going to be dependent on your team. Quintez Cephas. Quintez Cephas is available in a lot of fantasy leagues right now for redraft. And Quintez Cephas has pretty much cemented his handprint on being the number 1 receiver in Detroit. What does that mean? It means Goff's going to target you, right? So we know Hawkinson's there. We know Swift is there. After that, there's nothing. It's Quintez Cephas. Quintez Cephas had 7 targets each of the last 2 weeks, a touchdown each of the last 2 weeks. He finished last season with a touchdown. He looks very good. he's very underrated. That's the crazy thing is everyone's like, Quintez Cephas, he ain't shit, he ain't nothing. Monrod St. Brown, Khalif Raymond, all these guys, but Quintez Cephas is 82nd percentile burst, best comparable to Darren Carrington. If you remember Darren Carrington, when Darren Carrington came out, now we're digging in really deep, but like he wasn't bad. It was not like one of these things, but I'm telling you, Quintez Cephas getting an opportunity. They 6'1", 202. They want him to be good. And that's the biggest thing in these teams. If they want you to be good, you're going to be good. 74% route participation, 14 targets, 15% target share, or 15% target share with Hawkinson and Swift on your offense is pretty big. So if you need receiver help, if you're a heavy running back team, this is kind of like the vice versa, right? So if you have a heavy receiver team, you're looking at Michael Carter, you're looking at Cordero Patterson. If you have a heavy running back team, you're going to be looking for more guys like Quintez Cephas, a guy that can come fill in spots where you have injured guys. You're still waiting for Michael Thomas to come back. You're still waiting for all these other things that are happening, more injuries coming week by week. Paris Campbell, Will Fuller, Jerry Jeudy, Deontay Johnson, LaVisca. They're starting to pile up. Jarvis Landry, and now, an undercover guy, Nico Collins. I just touted him last week, but he looked good, and now he's hurt. So, and there's a couple honorable mentions I will mention, though, right quick. Speaking about the Houston Texans, it's Chris Conley. I don't love Chris Conley at all, but the opportunity is there. And we're like literally, as ugly as it sounds, we're an injury away from seeing Deshaun Watson play football, unless they bring Cam Newton or something. But this is a sticky situation. And then Braxton Berrios, the aforementioned New York Jet. The dude is just getting targets, and that's the biggest thing. He's playing the Jamison Crowder role, which seems to be the new coaching staff. They're still targeting 18 targets, 12 receptions for 124 yards for Braxton Berrios with 227 air yards. 227 air yards, which is 15th in the NFL, tied with Justin Jefferson, Kenny Golladay, ahead of Kenny Golladay. So Braxton, these are super deep. Like you're starting 5-6 receivers, this is different. Thinking about it, last question. If you had a question, also throw it in the chat. I'll be done here in about 2 minutes. Thinking about it, would you drop Latavius Murray for Carter or Cordero when it comes to running backs? No. I think I would hold on to Latavius for a couple of reasons, because he is the most in shape in this offense, I think, at running back right now. Bell still isn't in game shape. I don't have much hope for Bell at all, like even lasting in Baltimore, other than just being the dude that, is on the roster, kind of like a Des Bryant situation. Devonta Freeman had a little burst there, but he's still Devonta Freeman. And I think it's going to be Tyson and Latavius. And they said they're going to roll with the hot hand. And usually what that tells me is they're going to give it to the veteran more often than not. So Latavius is your guy. I think he's going to be your goal line guy. And if you're in PPR league, well, I think it's going to be more of a question between Carter and Cordero and dropping Latavius. But you're in half PPR, definitely going Latavius. But this is a really good question, because as the season goes on, you could see Carter getting more and more opportunities. And I 2 weeks from now, I could be leaning towards Carter. So that's a good question, though. One more guy I want to talk about. One more guy playing tight end that we really need to pay attention to. Deontay Johnson just got hurt, and everyone's looking at James Washington to come into Pittsburgh, plug right in, be the third guy, like everyone wanted him to be back day one. What happens if it's not actually him that gets the bump in this offense? What happens if that bump goes to tight end? What happens if that bump doesn't go to Eric Ebron? Eric Ebron has run 33 routes in 2021 to Pat Freiermuth's 29. Freiermuth has a 7% target share to Ebron's 5.5%. Literally 5 targets to 4. Ebron has the red zone target, but Ebron has 1 reception on the season, where Freiermuth has 5 for 60. We have some game charters right now that go through every single week, watch the games, leave notes, tell us, what they see. It's different. They watch every single play from these offenses. What's up, Matt? What's up, Nick? What's up, guys? Freiermuth has been making leaps and bounds just in the 2 games. I'm going to pull up these notes that I got from this guy, and I'm going to give him a shout out quick because I saw this, and I saw Freiermuth make some plays, and I go, wow, damn, Freiermuth looks good, but I haven't had time to sit down and watch this Pittsburgh game back in slow-mo how I really like to watch it. So I'm going to pull up this guy's notes here, and I'm going to tell you exactly what he said, and this is coming from a guy that, like I said, has watched every single snap of Pittsburgh football the last few weeks. I had 2 guys chart. One guy said Ben was getting hammered even though he got the ball out quick. It was an ugly game from the offensive line. The offensive line, obviously, we know struggles. They rarely use 2 tight end sets or 2 running back formations. Najee is their guy, but if he's not in the backfield, which he is in almost 90% of the time, he's lining up in the slot. And Pat Freiermuth, he's becoming their other guy. He's a great blocker, great ball catcher, and is becoming a security blanket for Roethlisberger. I don't really see much need for Eric Ebron in the future. He's running bad routes, and he's not been a great blocker. There's not much of a mid-range game. Roethlisberger either throws it 30 yards down the field or within the first 10 yards. What does that tell you? That tells you this offense wants to use those tight ends. They want to run the ball with Najee, and they want to target guys short or deep. Boom, deep. Boom, deep. There's no bullshit. It's either short, long, run the ball. You have to do that with Roethlisberger. He's only going to have a few of those deep balls. You got to use Claypool how Claypool's got to be used. Juju underneath, Freiermuth underneath, run the ball with Najee. You can see Freiermuth taking more steps each week and becoming a guy that's actually viable by the end of the season. Last weekend, Freiermuth ended with 4 targets, 4 receptions, and 36 yards, where Eric Ebron ended up with just 2 targets. In this game, though, you recall, Deontay Johnson had 12 targets, 9 for 105. After him, it's Claypool with 9, Juju 7, Najee 5, and Freiermuth with 4. Freiermuth, it depends how deep your league is in, though, right? If you're premium, it gives you a little more of a bump. If you have the ability to start 3 or 4 guys, Freiermuth is a very, very upward guy. Best comparable to Hunter Henry on playerprofiler.com. He ran a 4.4 20-yard shuttle in high school, 97.7 speed score, 4.72 at his pro day, 6'5", 251. He's a big-ass dude. We never see these things happen in year 1, but Pat Freiermuth could happen in year 1.